Hello, and welcome to Step 5, Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. In Step 4, we were asked to make a list of our positive and negative traits. We identified our weaknesses and strengths. Now we are asked to reveal them to our higher power, ourselves, and another person we respect and are prepared to trust with our confidences. We remind ourselves that many people before us found serenity on this path. When we are ready to let go of our burdens, our higher power is there, without judgment or criticism, only acceptance and an ever-present love. Step 5 helps us accept ourselves as we are and establish a foundation for positive change. It takes courage to admit our faults to another person. It is important we choose someone with whom it is safe to share, such as our sponsor or another trusted member of Nar-Anon. Step 5 follows naturally from Step 4. Having identified our strengths and weaknesses by exploring the past and present, we move on from there to take action. We acknowledge that qualities such as compassion, forgiveness, and a loving nature are strengths we depend on to survive and grow. Step 5 is a milestone on the road to our personal freedom. A member shares, "After completing Step 4, I am gaining strength and courage to continue working this program. I want recovery and will do what it takes to get there. I want to learn from those who came before me. My higher power is now my trusted friend. I know he will not judge me and will listen with love. I am ready to admit to God the exact nature of my wrongs and know he will prepare me to continue this process." Suggestions for applying Step 5. After we have completed our 4-step inventory, we are ready to begin Step 5. Here are some suggestions to consider. Find a quiet time and place for each phase of this step. Trust our higher power to lead the way. Begin by meditating and asking for strength and courage to be honest and open. Take time to be specific and clear as we share. Trust the process. In the previous steps, we accepted the existence of a loving and nurturing God or higher power. In Step 5, we are trusting our higher power will know and understand the exact nature of our wrongs, diminishing some of our anxieties and fears. As we work Step 4, we put equal emphasis on our positive and negative traits. We tried being kind and gentle with ourselves, admitting our wrongs without judgment. Our selection of another person with whom to share is an important decision. Many of us have had issues with trust in the past. It is important to reassure ourselves that we are not admitting our wrongs to the whole world. We are simply sharing our findings with one appropriate person. It is ideal to ask someone who will keep our confidence and will not be judgmental, critical, or give advice. Sharing with a close family member or friend may result in unwanted reactions. Many choose a respected long-standing fellowship member, perhaps their sponsor. Some choose the clergy. The choice is personal and should be someone we can relate to and with whom we are comfortable. Question number 1. What are my hopes and fears about working Step 5? I already feel like a failure as a mother to my son, the addict, and I'm afraid Step 5 may bring me down. My hope is that I can do Step 5 and not avoid it, that I can successfully accomplish it and benefit from it. Number 2. How will I know I am ready to share my inventory with someone else? I think I will proceed to share it whether I am ready or not. I may feel inclined to edit my inventory first, so it's not too bad, but I probably should not do that. Number 3. What are my past experiences with trust? Not good. Everyone I have trusted has disappointed me in big and small ways. I tend to trust in theory, but in practice, I don't think I ever trust anyone 100%. I trust knowing I might be hurt. Number 4. How can I trust my higher power to guide me in this process? I can trust that the process will unfold according to God's will. I can do my part and trust that I am being guided by God. Being honest, open, and willing. In Step 4, we identified unresolved feelings, painful memories, and personal defects that may have resulted in unhappiness, resentment, or loss of self-worth. Step 5 is another step toward freedom. We work this step by being totally honest with ourselves and the God of our understanding. We then become open and willing to share our inventory with another person. Learning to trust another human being frees us from isolation. We are no longer bound by our secrets when we share them with another. Honesty begins with a willingness to look at ourselves. No more excuses. No more blaming others for the messes in our lives. We have tried to be so many things to so many people. It is liberating and a relief to just be ourselves. We open the door to peace and happiness when we are honest, open, and willing. Number 5. How do I know I am ready to be honest, open, and willing? I think it is a matter of making a choice to be honest, open, and willing, regardless of how I feel about it. Number 6. What are the benefits of being honest, open, and willing? I think this helps with being able to live your own authentic life, regardless of circumstances. I think it helps align the thoughts and actions instead of feeling one way and acting another. Number 7. What thoughts come to mind when I think of the words truthful, genuine, and real in relation to myself? I think those words apply to me for the most part, but it depends on the circumstances. I can be good at pretending when I need to be. Admitted to a higher power. Admitting our wrongs to a higher power brings us closer to releasing them. We are learning to let go and let God by meditating, taking a walk, or spending quiet time in a special place. We share who we are, what we did, and how we feel. Honesty brings us closer to our higher power when we share our worries, trials, and fears. As we admit our wrongs and the part we played in the unmanageability of our lives, we do not want to justify our behavior. We are not blaming God for what has happened to us. Rather, we are realizing the choices we made brought us to this point in our recovery. We are seeking a deeper level of spirituality and commitment in our relationship with a higher power. We can count on our higher power's loving acceptance through this process. Question number 8. What fears do I have as I prepare to admit the exact nature of my wrongs? Not knowing how to do it, and afraid of bringing my negative traits into the light, and afraid of not being able to change. Number 9. What is my current concept of a higher power? I believe in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I believe there is one God in 3 persons. Number 10. Do I believe my higher power will still accept me after admitting the exact nature of my wrongs? Yes. Number 11. Do I believe I need forgiveness from my higher power? Why or why not? Yes. In any good, close relationship, forgiveness is necessary. When I hurt others, I am hurting another one of God's children. I ask His forgiveness, and to help me do better. Number 12. If so, can I accept forgiveness? Yes, I can accept God's forgiveness. Number 13. What are the benefits of sharing with my higher power? Even though God is all-knowing, the act of personal sharing shows I am invested in a relationship with Him, and the engagement increases my faith, love, and hope. Members share about admitting to a higher power. When I first came to Nar-Anon, I thought it was strange to have to admit anything to God, since I felt He was all-knowing. I had a fear of being judged and not measuring up to others' expectations. My higher power accepts that I am not perfect, still loves me, and simply wants to be a part of my life. Once I shared these shortcomings with Him, I could then replace them with positive traits. After many years in the program, I realized healing comes from admitting my shortcomings to my higher power. He is the only one who truly accepts everything about me without judgment. Admitted to ourselves. Admitting to ourselves is less threatening and risky than admitting to another person. When we look at ourselves honestly, without blame or condemnation, we can admit we played a part in the problems. Unconsciously, we may have used denial as a coping mechanism to protect ourselves. Denial allows us to ignore our problems, thinking we can avoid pain. This is human nature. The thought of dealing with the pain is so intense we are not able to accept it. Therefore, we may not admit, even to ourselves, the reality of the situation. By admitting to ourselves the exact nature of our wrongs, we are free to move forward and face our pain with the help of a loving God. The first time we work these steps, we will not uncover everything about ourselves. We are a work in progress. Our task is to examine those wrongs we had admitted to and see how they affected our lives. These steps are ongoing and life-changing if we choose to implement them. Concentrating on today keeps us focused. Question number 14. What have I done to accept, without judgment, the things I am admitting? I am looking at the inventory as a practical matter and not an emotional one. I am approaching it as a task, trying to be honest and knowing I am not being graded on it. Number 15. What new discoveries have I made about myself? There are things I had not thought of and need to understand, such as carrying the Nar-Anon message of sharing love, and humility as a sense of proportion between me and my higher power. Number 16. What did I like or dislike about what I discovered? I like that my inventory shows I have a lot of good qualities. I didn't like that I had more negative qualities than I thought I would. Number 17. Looking at the defects of character from my 4th step inventory, what is the exact nature of my wrongs? The fundamental qualities of my wrongs are human pride and fear and avoidance of pain, emotional, mental, physical, or spiritual. Number 18. How does choosing to be honest with myself give me a sense of freedom? I can't change until I know what needs to change, and having someone else tell me what to change sounds controlling. Being honest with myself enables me to choose where and how I want to grow as a person. A member shares, by continuing to work these steps, I have become free. I have been shown options that were not obvious to me before. Now I have choices. I can use the tools of the program to make better decisions, releasing me from unrealistic expectations. For this, I am grateful. Admitted to another person. It is difficult to reveal our resentments, fears, and defects to another person. We tried to keep these private, but now give ourselves permission to talk about them in a healthy, productive way. We schedule time for prayer and meditation with our higher power as we search for someone we can confide in to share our inventory. We are not seeking advice, only support and gaining insight. Our trusted Step 5 confidant is simply asked to listen. We are admitting the exact nature of our wrongs and how our behavior has affected ourselves and others. The details of how we plan to change are not necessary at this time. We examine our behaviors and try to discover the reasons behind our actions. It is suggested we carefully choose the person we share with, someone familiar with the 12-step program. This can be a trusted group member, sponsor, counselor, or friend. Keep in mind we are sharing our personal inventory. Secrets entrusted to us by others are not part of our inventory and should be kept confidential. Step 5 offers a sense of relief as we begin to trust ourselves, a higher power, and others. Question number 19. What qualities will I look for in the person with whom I share? Someone trustworthy who is a good listener and will let me share without interrupting. Someone who will not judge me or hold the information against me. Number 20. What character traits embarrass me when I think of sharing them with someone else? People exhaust me, and I come across as not liking other people and avoiding other people, which I guess is kind of true. I don't like looking like I am set in my negative ways, even if I am. Number 21. How might sharing with another person increase the awareness of my positive qualities? I think hearing myself verbalize positive qualities about myself is something I never do, so the act of sharing them can bring them more to my consciousness. Number 22. How might sharing with another person help me avoid falling back into old behaviors? Sharing brings to the forefront of the mind the negative traits about myself I don't think about, which gives me an opportunity to reflect and hopefully start taking steps to improve. Number 23. Can I share with another person without expecting approval? Why or why not? Yes, I know this task is just about sharing, not about attaining approval. It's important to choose someone whose approval I don't strictly need. A member shares, when I was a newcomer, I chose to be right instead of happy. Now I look at mistakes I made. I can learn from them and move forward. I am grateful to know it is okay to not be perfect. I am a spiritual person trying to do the best I can on my journey. I chose a sponsor who I love and trust, but who is also imperfect. It is easier to share my list with someone who does not judge me, but loves me as I am. A Step 5 story. The character traits I uncovered in Step 4 left me hesitant about approaching the next step. To admit to God, myself, and another human being the exact nature of my wrongs seemed to open up an even deeper level of vulnerability and apprehension, as I was ashamed of some of my past behaviors. In Step 4, I admitted my positive and negative behaviors to myself. After considering how I reacted to situations in the past, I began recognizing patterns. By becoming aware of my shortcomings, writing them down on paper, and accepting them, I could now focus on areas where I needed work. Next, I had admitted to God. Thankful for the spiritual foundation I had built in Steps 1 through 3, I found a higher power that was truly loving, nurturing, and forgiving. I could admit my defects to this power without worry of being punished. Speaking to God through prayer and conversation was not as hard as I thought, since the God of my understanding is part of me, my higher self. After being forgiven by a higher power, I was then able to forgive myself. Now I had to face another human being. This was going to be the hard part. Some things were easier to share than others. I was committed to the program and the steps. I prayed and gathered courage to reveal myself to my sponsor. I anticipated a negative reaction, but did not get one. She listened patiently and quietly, time after time, without judgment. I focused on the words, the exact nature. and realized my wrongs were human. The nature of the deeds, not the deeds themselves, was developed as a coping and defense mechanism. I was then able to address those patterns and work toward becoming a better person, no longer hiding behind shadows of shame, guilt, fear, and insecurities. Today I am thankful for the opportunity to reveal my inner self. Admitting my wrongs to God, myself, and another human being has helped me see my behaviors more clearly. This gives me an opportunity to improve myself and my life. Reflections on Step 5. Trusting enough to share our inventory with another person is part of having the courage to change. We may have started our 5th step with apprehension, confusion, and doubt, but hopefully we have completed it with confidence in the principles and tools of this program. We trust the person with whom we have shared our story, the person who has supported us along this path to recovery. We have opened our hearts without receiving judgment, criticism, or blame. The working of Step 5 gives us the freedom to move forward. A positive change will help us grow in our recovery, and we are encouraged to trust the process. For many, it is useful to stop and reflect on our progress. A well-deserved breather can be spiritually uplifting. Many of us end Step 5 with greater faith in the God of our understanding, with self-love and respect, and renewed trust. After completing Step 5, take time to reflect, pray, and meditate, thanking our higher power for the opportunity to share this step with another person. We can give ourselves credit for completing this step, as it has taken courage and strength. When we are ready, we will have the confidence to move on to Step 6. My thoughts on Step 5. I wondered if I really needed to do this step since I read my inventory out loud in previous episodes, so technically I already shared it with other people. However, I think it would be best if I intentionally shared it with one particular person, as Step 5 indicates. A few people came to mind. There is the leader of the Nar-Anon group I was attending virtually last year. It might be kind of weird to reach out after 7 months of not attending meetings, but she was really nice, and I think I still have her number somewhere. There is a deacon at my church who would be a good, non-judgmental listener. I've known him for almost 20 years, and he knows my family and all about my son. There is my sister, with whom I'm very close. She already knows everything, but she might not be very patient with the stuff like this program stuff. She has a lot of her own stress right now, and I don't want to burden her. There are a couple of good friends I could share with, Donna or Karen. They've always been supportive, and I've known them for a long time. Then there's the easiest option, my therapist. She gets paid to listen to me and can't really be mean because, well, she's supposed to help me, right? I've been seeing her a couple times a month for about 8 months. In the end, I decided to share with her. I asked her first if it would be okay, and she was good with it. It took about 35 minutes of my non-stop reading out loud, and I don't think I looked up or stopped to get a deep breath. It was pretty tiring. Thankfully, our time was up. Actually, we went over on time when I had finished, so I did not stay for any discussion. She said thank you for sharing and said it sounded like a lot of time and preparation went into it. I'm glad to have that done with, I will say. Thank you for completing Step 5 with me. Join me next time as we move on to Step 6.